I hit
Ruby,
record.
you are live. Record on cloud.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's Pillar One Advisory Committee meeting. My name is Ruby Daniels, and I serve as the chair of this committee, president of the Maryland State Family Child Care Association, and an independent pre-K expansion grantee, now in my third year. Today, we'll focus on planning the roles, requirements, and priorities that will guide our work for the year ahead. We will also briefly touch on the sliding scale, which continues to be an important area of conversation for our providers, families, and partners. With that, let's begin with the introduction. I'll pass it on to the AIB team and then to the committee and to all the guests that's in this room. Rachel?
Hey there, Rachel Amsutz, Policy Director for the AIB, and I'll pass it over to Alex.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. For those of you who I have not met yet, my name is Alex Baum. I am the new Pillar One Advisory Analyst here at the AIB. I come to you from federal service, so I was working at the Administration for Children and Families prior to this, and I'm very excited to join you all. Thank you. Libby, would you like to say hello, introduce yourself if you're still with us?
Yes. Hi, everyone. My name is Libby Diamond, and I am a policy analyst with the AIB. I have been supporting Pillar One over the last couple years, but now that Alex has joined us, I will really be transitioning over to Pillar Two, but you might still see me from time to time. Have a great meeting tonight. Ruby, I'll pass it back to you to introduce committee members.
So in my team, I do have Gina Hoover here.
Hi, everyone. I'm Gina Hoover. I am the early learning lead teacher with Washington County Public Schools, and I am a member of the Pillar One Advisory Committee, and I'll pass it to Ray.
Good afternoon, Dr. Rainier Miller, the Consortium for Accomplished Educators, Prince George's and Charles County.
Oops,
I'm sorry. Can I pass to Dr. Jennifer?
Hello, I'm Jennifer Mata McMahon. I'm Professor of Early Childhood Education at UMBC, and I'm a committee member of the Pillar One Advisory Committee.
I think that's all the committee. We can pass it on to the MSDE team right now.
What about, oh, never mind.
I'm happy to jump in and start. I am Dr. Laura Wallace, and I am the Director of Research Policy and Partnerships, and joined MSDE about 2 months ago. Then I'll pass it to Jenna.
Good evening, everyone. Jenna Smith, Executive Director for Early Learning and Quality Improvement Initiatives with the division. Nakia?
Good afternoon, everyone. Nakia Washington, Pre-Kindergarten and Mixed Delivery Program Manager, and I'll pass it to Kelly.
Hi, everyone. I'm Kelly Dwyer. I'm a policy advisor here in the Division of Early Childhood, and I'm super happy to introduce one of our newest team members this week, Hatice, who joined us as a Society for Research and Child Development Fellow. So I'll pass it to her.
Hello, everyone. As Kelly said, my name is Hatice, and I just recently finished my PhD from UMBC, actually. Hi, Dr. Jen. And yeah, I'm happy to be here. Thank you so much. And I'll pass it to nobody, I guess.
Hi.
We covered everyone.
We got everybody. Thank you so much. And we're going to go with, on the agenda, it says updates from the AIB. Do we have any updates?
Sure, I'm happy to share a couple of updates. Thank you. So I've already introduced myself. That was my first update because that's new for the AIB. I will also share that the AIB is beginning the progress of conducting progress monitoring conferences with LEAs across the state. So we have already met with one LEA, and we will be continuing these meetings over the next couple of months. We'll be concluding them through the end of October, or we will conclude them by about the end of October. The other update that I'll share is the update to the Blueprint Comprehensive Plan. So you all may recall that back in June, each advisory committee received public comment for how to update the Blueprint Comprehensive Plan. Our AIB board reviewed each and every piece of feedback, then adopted some changes to be made. And the newest version of the BCP will soon be on our website. So pretty quick set of updates here from the AIB. We're hoping that that will make up some time from the technical hiccups at the front end. So
Alex, I
thank you
need to add just one or two more real quick.
Please do.
When we were making our list, I forgot to add onto the list that we do have 2 new board members on the AIB who started in August. Dr. Cantina Quick McQueen is joining us from St. Mary's County, as well as Mrs. Robin Warner from Talbot County. And so they replaced Dr. Laura Stapleton and Dr. Maura Doss. So we do have 2 new members. They will be at our September meeting and you'll be able to meet them. And we will be determining the board member liaison for each of the 5 advisory committees once they're on board. So Dr. Lynch was ours for Pillar 1 before, but they may be juggling them all around based on the expertise of the new members. I think those are all of our updates and we can pass it to you, Ruby.
Oh, okay. So I guess next on the agenda is the review of the sliding scale. So there's a couple of questions that, that I shared with the AIB team. And the first question I have regarding the sliding scale and the tiering. The Tier 1 status for multilingual and children with disabilities. Can MSD confirm that multilingual learners and children with disabilities are being treated as Tier 1, regardless of income for pre-K expansion seats? And for the Blueprint funded seats, please also confirm whether multilingual and children with disabilities who would otherwise be Tier 2 are elevated to Tier 1 for Blueprint funding, and Tier 3 will not qualify, right? They will have to pay full price. Was this a for FY 25-26 approach only, or will this continue in future years in FY 26-27 and beyond? So that's one of the questions that I have for MSDE.
And real quick, Ruby, if I could jump in and maybe MSDE team, if you can let me know how you want to move forward. Like after the end of the last meeting, there were a few other questions that were still lingering, and we did receive a list of questions. We don't have time to be able to go through all of those today. I don't know if you'd want to answer that first question or if we should just send a list of the questions over. How would you prefer that we do that?
I think given the time for today, it's probably better just to send them over.
Okay.
And then
I've got a list of them and I'll be happy to. Hi,
think,
Laura, first of all. Sorry. Go ahead.
Thanks, Al.
For the purpose of this meeting, I think Ruby sent them around to the committee. And if the committee has any additional questions that they want to add to that, or however, if there's anything extra that you want to clarify in a question or add to that question, that would be fabulous. But we will share the list with MSDE so that you receive the full list and have time to process the questions. If you need any additional information, we are absolutely happy to put you in touch with whoever has posed the question if you need more context or more.
That would be excellent. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Laura.
Yeah, so that's great. Just to add, maybe one of the question would be household income, whether they would consider if grandma or grandpa is living in the same household. Just to add that to all the list of questions. Yeah.
So I wonder for the entire advisory committee, if we could agree to maybe send those over by what day is reasonable. And then Alex will handle sending the list over to MSDE.
I mean, we can have finalized the question. Maybe the committee can finalize the question by tomorrow, and then we can have them over to MSDE next week.
Perfect. Any
That
objection?
works just fine for us. Oh, well, thank you.
Perfect.
Okay.
And
So,
thank you for that addition, Ruby. We appreciate it. We'll add it to the list.
so are we moving along to the planning, Alex?
Yes, I think that I think that makes sense at this point, Ruby. I think that's right.
Okay.
So, and Rachel, please feel free to, I apologize. I'm trying to find the best space so I'm not directly in the sun here. We scheduled some time, as we often do in the beginning of these, at the beginning of the year cycle with these advisory committee meetings. We wanted to have some time that we called planning for the year. So reviewing some annual requirements and discussing leadership roles within this group, brainstorming topics that we might discuss as a group or prioritize throughout the year, as well as starting to map out the year. We know that there are only about, we've allotted 20 minutes or so for that discussion. We recognize that may warrant more discussion in future advisory committee meetings, but that's a starting point for us. Rachel, is there any more additional context that we should to share as we get this conversation underway?
I think Pillar 1, you guys have always done just a remarkable job of thinking ahead, planning ahead, and considering who are the voices and the stakeholders, and what are the topics that are most pressing this year. The one thing I will add as we're thinking about the year is that last year it was very successful to have the advisory committees hosting the public input sessions for the Blueprint Comprehensive Plan feedback. So we're going to ask all advisory committees once again to hold time for that, likely in April. And we're thinking we can join that with your legislative updates session. So it would kind of be a little bit of just a set aside meeting in spring. Internally, we do think it's going to be April, but we're not positive that it's going to be April. So if you can kind of build it in for April's meeting, that would be great. But we may need to flex it with another meeting. Other than that, it's pretty much the same two topics that you have done since the first year we launched advisory committees. The AIB does not mandate a leadership change, but does ask that there's a conversation at the beginning of every school year to see if there are any folks on the advisory committee that are looking for leadership opportunities, and if the current leadership team is willing to stay on, is wanting to stay in their same roles, that sort of thing, that we give everybody the opportunity. There are two ways that we can handle it. We can just have an open discussion here, or if you prefer, we can just choose to say, we will email Alex and let him know our thoughts, and we'll coordinate this all through email so that we don't need to use the committee time to do that today. That's one topic, the leadership. The second topic is planning and thinking about the meeting calendar. Last year, you all decided that this particular time worked for all of you. We do have our new student member this year, so we need to check with everybody's new schedules. Does the current time work for everybody, or do we need to find a new time, standing time, that works for everybody? We do need to strive to get as many members as possible at the meetings. And so we want to make sure that we're not scheduling it at a time when people can't make it to a meeting. So with that in mind, that is the second conversation, is when is our regular meeting going to occur this year? And the AIB asks that the committees meet at least once quarterly. Many of the committees did kind of find their ways into a monthly cadence, but there is no requirement to do it monthly. So if you want to look now and say, hey, we're definitely doing September, but maybe we should skip November or December, you guys have already found some of your good cadence, but it's a chance to talk about that and make sure that everybody's on board with that. So those are really the big three ideas: leadership for the committee, the regular meeting cadence, what day of the month and what time, and then the topics that you may want to discuss that are timely to Blueprint implementation for this year. And I think that's really the bulk of the meeting for today. So there's plenty of time to hear from everybody about their thoughts on each of those three topics in this section.
Yeah, well, thank you so much. Yeah, I would like to hear from the committee regarding the leadership role. If somebody would want to step up, as a leader or a vice chair or chair, I'd like to hear from the committee who's, I guess, is here. Linda's not here. Gina, Jen, and Dr. Ray. What are your thoughts on the leadership role? Or if you want to have another discussion outside of this committee meeting. And also, I believe Dr. Jennifer has difficulty with Thursdays because that's when she teaches. I'm not sure if that's changed. So we do have to talk about the day and time for our meeting. I know we don't meet in July, August, December, and January. Those are the months that we don't meet, right?
And those are your choices. We do just ask that you meet once quarterly for the
Okay.
AIB. So
Yeah.
totally up to you. And some of the committees have had to change that around. If a meeting got canceled, they did end up doing a July meeting, or they don't. It's totally up to you. This just helps us get started, get an idea of what dates to put out so that those who watch our meetings have an opportunity to put it on their calendars and to know what you'll be talking about when.
Okay. What does the committee feel? Do we want to table that, do an email or another meeting after this committee meeting? Or do you have any ideas at this moment, Gina?
I think we could email or to discuss at least the leadership piece of it. I don't know that it's something that everybody needs to, sit here and while we figure all that out, but that's up to you guys. But I think that we do a pretty good job. We've all been working together for a little while now. So I think we do a pretty good job of communicating either via email or, like you said, another meeting at some point. But I'm fine with just an email. And as far as the date for the meeting, I'm flexible. I wouldn't mind maybe a 5 o'clock start time just because of when I'm, with work and trying to get home. But, the day of the week is flexible. Soccer season's a little trickier, but I'll figure it out.
So yeah, day is not an issue for you, but you prefer 5 o'clock. What about Dr. Jennifer or Dr. Ray?
I agree with Gina. I think that for leadership, we should probably just do emails because only half of us are here. And so that would take up time that we could use for something else. And 5 o'clock is better for me also, but the day of the week, I'm open.
Okay, thank you. What about Dr. Jen?
Yeah, I agree that we can figure it out. In the fall, I teach at 4:30s on Thursdays. For this semester, it's a hybrid class, so I alternate weeks, and I've fixed my calendar based on the schedule that we had prior. I fixed my calendar so that I have online classes the day that we meet of the month, the first Thursday of.
So you would be okay keeping it the first
And then
Thursday?
the fall, and then in the spring, I mean, I teach on Wednesdays, so I'm fine. Yeah, I'm fine for Thursdays for next semester. And 5 o'clock works fine. In fact, I think it's better than 4:30.
Is that an issue with the AIB, or can we make 5 to 6 work? We can. Okay.
That is totally fine.
All right, perfect. So
So we're sticking with the first Thursday of the month, 5 to 6, though, instead of 4:30 to 5:30, right?
yeah,
Okay.
with the exception of July, August, December, and January.
Yep.
Okay. All right, that sounds good. We have a plan. So Alex, do we have any ideas on the topics, suggestion, any suggestion on topics or for future for the year?
So this was a time, rather than us actually suggesting a topic to you all, we figured that while I'm still taking notes and sort of documenting for us, we wanted to leave this open-ended to you all and sort of leave it in your hands. If there are pieces that feel particularly relevant to you all at this moment, now's a great time to voice them, and we can always continue to refine what we decide.
And I would add just a teeny bit of context that you want to like align yourself to the BCP and to blueprint implementation and the timelines of what's happening this year. What are the current things that are underway? Where are the milestones? For example, I can tell you that in December, the report will be turned into us about the participation in pre-K3, pre-K4. Your team may want to look at that. I wouldn't make it the December meeting. I think you said there is no December or January meeting, but it may be a February meeting to have time in that window to look at that data and to be able to come back and just, what are your noticings? What are your wonderings? Or ask LEAs, things that you see in that report. We noticed a big jump here. What are you guys doing? What's your secret sauce? Like that could be a meeting topic. So I would encourage you to please think about kind of the entirety of the Pillar 1 and all perspectives. This is a joint one that's owned by private providers and public providers. So we want to make sure that we're hearing from everybody. There are also lots of other players. Our friends at MSDE are here today who are integral in the work, that if there's topics that you want to ask that they come, they need a little lead time to be able to be ready or to know what's of interest to be discussed. So those are some of the big ideas. There's also the idea of the IHEs and the teacher prep programs for anybody preparing folks for early childhood education. It's a pretty comprehensive topic, but we just ask that you ground it in the blueprint. Primarily the BCP would be your easiest way to keep track of the tasks and the due dates. And then just think about, how do we achieve the mission of the advisory committees, which is to, and this committee has done it fabulously historically, to hear both the successes and the challenges of implementation across the state. Like that's still a goal, to be able to make sure that we're hearing the diverse perspectives of that, with both the wins and the, hey, this is hard. How do we work on this? So that just gives you a little bit of context around the topics that are to think about as you're engaging in conversation now.
Yeah. So just, I don't know if Nakia can answer this, but when do we get the pre-K expansion grant questionnaire? Does that change, or does it remain the same in terms of readiness, preparation for the upcoming grant cycle? The grant application questions, do they change or do they remain the same?
Oh, yeah, you're on mute.
I'm sorry, what questionnaire are you referring to, Ruby? I apologize.
The grant application questions. I believe it's similar, right? It doesn't.
You mean the application?
The application itself, the pre-K grant application.
Oh, you asking when are we going to release the application for FY27?
No, my question is, does it change each year, or does it remain the same?
You mean the content of the application, the questions?
The questions in the application.
Well, we're currently reviewing the application, doing an analysis of the respondents from last year, and engaging in some continuous quality improvement as far as the application goes. So we're working on that, and as we have more information, that's also an area in which we plan to also include or engage the pre-K work group as well. So we're looking at how we can continually improve, and the application based on the data of the from the applications that we've received previously. So we will definitely keep you posted and provide any opportunities that we can for feedback.
Oh, okay. So, because I think that's really an important topic, maybe in, I don't know, November, or is it February? Or February timeline would be better, right?
Well, we're gonna definitely make sure we work on getting the feedback and getting the application available as soon as possible. But as we develop the timeline, we'll definitely keep you and everyone posted as to the timeline.
Yeah. So
Nakia, can I clarify there too? Like, Do you know by chance in January, is that when the annual presentation is? Is it always annual? Like it's in January to the board about pre-K, like the one that had the sliding scale information this year? Would that be happening in January again next year, or is that determined later in the year?
I am not sure.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Okay. But some of that information would be in that board presentation, probably, like the grant timelines, maybe?
We're working on it.
Yep.
We'll follow up as we
Perfect.
gather the information. I apologize, but we want to,
Nope.
just make sure we have
Absolutely.
everything lined up. We're meeting, and, working on the application, the process, the timeline, so that it is,
Perfect.
accessible to as many people that want to apply.
Absolutely. Awesome. Thank you.
Sure.
So as I hear it, and just trying to document as much as I can, it sounds like whenever we gather or as we await timelines on when we'll hear more information, and when the presentation will be, Ruby, it just sounds like the topic you're interested in is the nature of the questions, the nature of what what we can expect on the application for the coming
Yes.
cycle. Is that right?
Yeah, and the ease
Okay.
of the application and stuff,
Okay, great.
Maybe that's, it's just an idea. I mean, the committee
No.
sees that's just an idea of one of the topics. The other topic that I was also would like to present to the committee would be the ELA. I think that's very important, the KRA and the ELA. And when we can have that metrics, I don't know. Because I believe the ELA is new for this year, right, Nikia? Yes.
Yes.
I'm really excited. I enrolled Renaissance. They're very good at supporting the providers, and they really would walk you on how to enter the information, whether you're doing it correctly. They see it right there, and they would say, "Oh, it's not there. Oh, okay, it's there." So it's very helpful, and I'm really excited about this because now they can really capture, the intent of the blueprint and the success of the blueprint. So maybe I'm thinking that's another topic that we can explore. I don't know what month. I mean, these are just.
And we
I
don't
guess-
even have to commit them to months right now. It can just be a brain dump and then kind of figure out what makes sense later. Ruby, I'm remembering back to a prior, I think it was the June meeting, and you had shared just about your personal journey with the grant, but in particular, your students and students leaving your program bilingual. And I think as a committee, that could be a really neat discussion at some point in the year to hear what public providers and the LEAs and the private providers, how are we supporting multilingual learners? And like what are the efforts underway, the innovative ideas? Like that might be one idea of a conversation for Pillar 1 to consider this year.
Yeah. Yeah, and also
team-
children with disability. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. And totally open committee members to your ideas of things like that. What else are you curious about with pre-K implementation that this committee could look into? You're probably looking at 4 to 5 topics, I think, if you take the months out that Ruby's identified and the legislative update / BCP update meeting. Are there other topics you're curious about that you would like to be able to bring in guests or open the floor to presenters to come in and share with you about blueprint implementation efforts regarding Pillar 1?
I know we had mentioned, I think at one of, I don't remember when. Sorry, it's been a really long, short week. But we had talked about looking more into the Judy centers and the Patty centers and possibly inviting some LEAs and Judy Center partners to kind of discuss how they're using those valuable resources in their counties. I know that's something that we really love our Judy centers here in Washington County. So I know we had just mentioned that. So that was just an idea that I think we had talked about in one of our planning meetings. I always just find value in like I said, I speak from the LEA perspective of this committee, but you know, I always find value in just learning from others. And I always tell Kelly, like when I go back to the office after these meetings, I'm like, guess what I learned, you know, and this county is doing that. Like sometimes there's just value in just learning from other people because we're all learning all of this blueprint implementation together. And as you all know, sometimes things are changing by the minute and, you know, you're trying to keep up with it all. So sometimes it's just great to hear from. That's why I love our early learning collaboratives and different things. Just hearing from other people and learning from each other is always not a bad thing either.
I love that you said that, Gina, and I truly believe that this advisory committee has helped spread implementation ideas for Pillar 1 from county to county and region to region just by the people that you've brought in and showcased. And by, I think it was maybe your county, actually, Gina, that was like, hey, we've got a program in high school and it's working. Let us show you how it's working. And other people were like, high school? And they came and saw it. And so you guys have been really instrumental in helping feature those successes. And so I think I've heard that Judy Centers, Patty Centers, students with disabilities, multilingual learners, that those could be some interesting topics this year. Alex, I think we captured the report, the increase in seats or the data on seats, that could be a meeting in and of its own. Any other topics of interest for the group?
I think we can also, with that, adding to what Gina said, how Judy Center and Patty Center, how we can drive the pre-K enrollment, because they do have families, you know, we can give them the information.
Absolutely.
They qualify or their children can qualify, so it can drive the enrollment, and also screening, if that's another, you know, subtopic, and also transition, you know, how we
Can
can
you say a
transition.
little bit more about screening? What do you mean by screening?
Like screening, you know, the infant and toddler,
Okay.
if you know, if they have some kind of like gaps, or if
Got
you,
it.
yeah,
Like early
Milestones.
intervention. Sort of.
Yes.
prevention, exactly.
Perfect.
Yeah.
And that does make a lot of sense to hear just how different counties are doing that and what are the connections all the way through birth to 5, really, from IFS to IEP and all of those pieces, as well as, I just know as a school principal, we did as much as we could to know as much as we could about those 4-year-olds before they came in. Like if there's combustion energy among people, we'd rather split it up if we could. So to have those kind of articulation meetings, if you will, branching that out to our private providers as well, the knowledge that you have of students in the private setting really would help the public setting. So we could bring in some LEAs and hear how are people doing that, or propose ideas and see. That could be a topic as well. And the transition piece, I think you just said. Ruby, when you started to say something that reminded me of something you said back recently in another meeting, and Gina, I love it. It has been a long, short week. I am with you on that. Ruby, you mentioned the idea of communication a little while back, maybe last month or at some other meeting that we've had. Pillar 5 is going to be talking about how Blueprint is broadly communicated in the LEAs, but that could be a topic for Pillar 1. How are we advertising pre-K in the state of Maryland? How are we putting the word out there, both public and private and collaboratively and all of that? And I see positive stories too all the time about, you know, a new center opening or something like that. But all of those things could be in a topic as well, if that's of interest.
Yeah, I do agree, because I was talking to some multilingual families and stuff, and they were not aware about the pre-K. You know, they have the 3-year-old or 5-year-old, and they said, "Oh, they can go to pre-K. I didn't know we have that." You know, so yeah, a public awareness is important too. So that way it will, you know, help families in the.
I think you're actually getting a topic list that's going to give you some spare ones to weave in, or you might have some weeks when you could do 2 that are kind of similar. Are there any other burning topics that you would want to add? And I'll also throw into our MSTE guest, you're welcome to suggest any if you have any that you think that they might want to dig into that we haven't mentioned yet. But anybody else have a burning topic that's timely to this year or we haven't talked about in a little while? And one other piece that it occurs to me that I didn't mention is we have talked about when we've pulled all of the advisory committees together, that some of these topics overlap, a pillar 1 and a pillar 2, a pillar 1 and a pillar 4, that there are opportunities like what does early childhood look like in community schools? That could be an overlap between the two topics that you could talk about with either pillar 4 or just it's a topic that overlaps between the two. So it broadens the topic areas.
So Rachel, is it possible for us when we do the higher ed topic, if we can do it together with the pillar 2?
We can absolutely reach out and ask them and kind of compare schedules and see what's possible, who's available. We can certainly check.
Like a combined meeting. Can we do a combined meeting?
Oh, look at that. Libby joined us. She's our pillar 2 liaison. I think she said ding, ding, ding.
Actually, that
I think yes.
we have our meeting next week for planning,
Uh-huh.
and I mentioned that this group asked about that, and see if we can get a shared meeting for that topic. Absolutely.
Yeah, because teacher preparation and
Absolutely.
certification and all this stuff is important, and then we can get the experts in pillar 2, like
Yep.
Libby.
Now, if I had my way, we'd talk about early childhood math instruction. We'd have a whole meeting just on math, but I don't get my way. These are all topics that we definitely can dig into. And I don't know, Gina, you probably would have better perspective on this from the LEA perspective. Like, are community schools doing things? Does your county have community schools? Okay. Are community schools doing things that are specific to the early childhood population? Or are they kind of whole school interventions?
I mean, I'm not 100% familiar with all of it, but I think it's a mix of both. So I know for us, like our community schools, like some of them have a Judy Center, so like they work together, or like, so like not work together, but like they have meetings and they discuss and they try to like, how can we all help each other? So I do think that there is some conversation, surrounding that. And so, yeah, I definitely think that could possibly be a joint topic if that's kind of what you're asking. But, and I can definitely find out more about how that partnership, works.
We're at a fascinating place where we're at the threshold of the maximum number of schools coming on board, not maximum number, but the percentage that schools that have, is it 55% of free and reduced meals or poverty, they are designated as community schools. We've gotten to that category this year across the state. I believe it's 714, something like that. Community schools, it's about half. And so it would be really neat to see how concentration of poverty funds are being leveraged to support our youngest learners and maybe, some of those gaps you're talking about, whether it's the transition from a private provider to a public or the support of our multilingual learners and our students with disabilities in those, or even just that first year of kindergarten is tough. There's a lot, that's a long day on our little youngest learners. And so that we could explore that topic if that is of interest.
Yeah, those are great suggestions.
So is it something at this point, I guess we have like a list of topics. Is it something that once, Alex, I know you've been working hard compiling all these, like we could have an email kind of going where we have the topics and then we kind of think about as a committee what months we want to put these in, what guests we might know to invite. Because I know I'm like a processor, so I need to see it in writing and kind of think about where and when and stuff like that.
Absolutely.
Rather than just saying, yeah, this is going to be October and this is going to be November.
Yep, 100%. We can share those notes and it's a document that everybody can chime in on. And then if people want to own and say, I'll do some research, I'll figure this one out, or we could invite these people, you can leave comments and things like that to try to just identify the right people to bring to these and what to spotlight. It is super hygienic to be like, let's organize this now by February, March, April, what's going to be happening then? But if we can process everything we're thinking about today and then think about kind of some timelines that make sense, that would be a great next step.
Okay. Looks like we have a plan for the year.
I'm excited already.
We just have
fabulous
to figure out,
topics.
yeah. So I guess at this time, shall we, it's 5:18. Shall we open the floor for a brief reflection from the committee, updates, and the key takeaways?
Absolutely.
Any
And just to add context, that's basically opening the floor for anything that we have talked about today, not just the planning for the year, sort of anything that we've talked about today that you'd like to rehash or that you want to reflect on. Open for a few minutes for that.
I would love to put Dr. Nada McMahon on the spot for a second. Are you all back in school? It's September. It's exciting. Has school started where you are?
Yes, it actually started last week, so we are on week
Yes.
2 of the semester
You've-
already. Yes.
You've got the smiling faces coming in down the hall and all the excitement of the new year. Any fun stories?
Yes. Buzzing.
Good.
The university is buzzing right now. Yeah.
Very
Yeah.
good.
Finally, because it was very quiet over the summer, but yeah,
Yes.
everybody's back.
Good. Good.
Full throttle. Mhm.
Dr. Ray, do you want to say a few words? Yeah, any reflection, any takeaways?
I just think that as we were going over our topics, I really liked how we brought people in. So I'm just hoping that we can find different LEAs because I know we did not hear from half. And so
Sure.
get some different LEA invitees to come to our meeting. I think that that would add a little bit more information, and help fuel different questions, just to see where all the needs are. So I think I will try to work harder for me to see if we can get some more folks. And I just think that would add to our conversations. But we didn't do a bad job. I just
You
think,
guys have been phenomenal.
yeah, we want to
Phenomenal.
get some more. We have lots of visitors, and I think that we should get some more so that we can get a real good idea from the whole state, not just, the ones who come back. And I love when they come back and share their stories. I just want to hear some news stories too. I want to see what everybody, as many people as we can get, what they're doing. Also about the advertising for pre-K, I really think we all have to get better at that. Like, I don't know how we could help, but we definitely have to get better because people who have babies who are about to be 3 or 4, whatever the case may be, should know. I just found out they had full day pre-K up the street. They didn't have it, a couple of years back. So I'm glad to see some changes happening. Thanks,
Dr.
team.
Miller. Ooh, go ahead. I was just going to say, Dr. Miller, I really appreciate you mentioning that, and that in the past 2 weeks, Ruby did craft an email that we sent out to Blueprint coordinators and strategic facilitators to just offer if there's things they want to mention or share that we may not be aware of. So that has been put out there. And I think also, Ruby, you're going to reach out to the private provider networks and just expand the reach of that question so that we can get input from a vast group.
Yes, I saw that. I would also like to, I think I'll try to go back and find out about remember the young lady who said that she hadn't been reached out to and that her local wasn't really talking to ELA providers. So I think I'm going to go back and see if I can find her and see if anything has changed and see if she'll come back.
Awesome.
Yes, so so I think we are ahead of time somehow.
I did think, Ruby, if you want to know a couple of other quick updates, like I know you would love to get to dinner and on the road faster, but I can let you know one other quick thing I forgot to mention. The AIB is completely redoing our website, completely. It is time for an overhaul we're now midstream implementation. That website should be live in September. And so hopefully by the September 18th meeting, you'll get an update, but I think you're going to be wowed by the refreshed look, the new content. There's just more content. And then in addition to that, if you recall kind of the annual process where the BCP gets updated. So we had the meeting in June. And then in July, the board voted on that. And Alex, you may have said this, and I may be totally mixing up all my advisory committee meetings, but
Can definitely rehash.
okay. The newest copy of the BCP that usually a lot of people like to have the fresh one. So they're operating from current dates and law changes and anything like that. the BCP in PDF version. There are not going to be print copies this year, but the PDF version is either posted today or will be posted tomorrow to our website. So it's, I think this is the third or fourth iteration. Every year it gets an update. The cleanest, freshest copy is on our webpage, aib.maryland.gov, on the implementation plan page, the tab for that. So that information is available. And then the one exciting thing I would love to mention is that we will be reinforcing and relaunching the Blueprint in Action hashtag. And so if you hear of great things happening, if you know of a partnership or a cool Judy Center thing, we definitely want you all as the advisory committee and anybody listening to tag us on whatever social media you're on, that we can get those spotlighted. And we hope to also be able to pull those successes over to the website to be able to show what Blueprint looks like in action for our students.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I'll share that with one of my clients last year.
Awesome.
She is willing to share her experience and the great things that happened for the whole year for her kid. So definitely. Just one last thing. I know the AIB has the MOU is template that's coming from the MSDE is being looked at by the AIB. One question I have regarding that is the MOU in terms of the school regs and then the OCC regs. There seems to be, when we do the MOU with the school, I guess one of the requirements is that we have to follow the school regs. However, when we also have to follow the OCC regs, and I don't know if both are aligned. So maybe that's something that I would like the AIB or MSDE to look at.
Alex and I can definitely connect with the MSDE team. I think it came up last year, some of that alignment, like around nap time sticks in my mind as one of the conversations that came up last year, but we can definitely dig in and see if there are additional areas. And I don't know if the MOU is being changed this year or not, but we'll definitely follow up with MSDE and get you that information.
Okay. Thank you. Oh, we're early. So anything else for the committee? Alex?
The only other item that I have is to share when our next Pillar 1 Advisory Committee meeting will be. And that would be October the 2nd at, it sounds like we have decided now 5 p.m.
Okay.
If that sounds right. So October the 2nd, 2025 at 5 p.m. That is the next time we'll hold a meeting. So we look forward to seeing you all then. And thank you very, very much for joining for this meeting. We are extremely excited, hopefully, as you can hear, for what's to come this year.
Yes, I'm excited too. So thank you so much. I do appreciate everyone's time, and I'd like to have a special thanks to all the MSDE who attended this meeting. I know your time is valuable, and I thank you very much for working with the AIB and the Pillar 1 committee. Thank you, everyone, and have a wonderful rest of your evening.
Happy to be here. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Alex, I believe you're a co-host. My buttons are still not working technologically. If you can go to the 3 dots more, and there should be